Hi, my name is Alexis Sasha. I am a coach. I help women transform their lives, and currently I am creating a mastery circle for female survivors of narcissistic abuse by loved ones. This is a passion project. I realized for myself and other women that it would have saved us a lot of time if we didn't just have the psychological tools, but also the somatic tools in order to help us heal. So these include things like chanting, therapeutic humming, EMDR, brainwave frequencies, because what a lot of people don't know about narcissism is that it hijacks our nervous system, and that's why we tend to attract like minded people and situations to us. So today's channeling is really devoted to understanding the entity or force of narcissism so that we can really heal from it on a personal but also a societal level. Are you ready, Tara?
Okay,
Okay. Who has joined us today?
you have many names for my particular form. Many people on your planet have many names for me. Some of you of the more religious bent might call me Diablo, Lucifer, Dark.
Wow. All right. So we are speaking to the ruler of narcissistic energy itself.
Nothing wrong with narcissism.
Okay. What polarity are you? Just to define it. We already know.
Negative, my love.
Yes. And how would you describe narcissism? Would you describe it as entity attachments, a human construct, a force?
It is love for one's own ego, what you are born into on this planet. What so many fail to erase, you can try. But as long as you are on this plane of existence, it will always follow you. And therefore, you will always love yourself. And although you may try to be altruistic, you may try to help your fellow human, it is the accolades and the joy that fulfills you. It is your own dark desires.
Hmm. Now, that's quite interesting because you're saying that self love fuels our ego, but for many survivors of narcissistic abuse, they actually weren't empowered. They weren't loving themselves. They were giving their energy away to the narcissist and other people. So, in my humble opinion, it's actually self love that allows us to detach from narcissism.
Call it what you wish, but eventually you return. They all return.
Hmm. Okay. So, from the eyes of, I guess, your adversary, which would be source, right? Are we all narcissists as human beings because we have descended into the 3D and forgotten that we are pure love?
If you want to put it into clinical terms, then yes, when you're on this third dimensional plane of existence, although fragments of narcissism, perhaps in different forms, does exist in other dimensions as well, but perhaps not as tangible and intensely as it is mirrored in this existence, which is why there are many of my kind, my offspring, you might call them, that come to this plane of existence to revel in the feeling of narcissism as it is much more intense, much more tangible on the third plane.
Okay. But we can, even on this 3D level, ascend 4D, 50 through our consciousness, correct?
There are those that ascend, yes.
Okay. So then, would you say that narcissists are born, they're made through trauma, or they're energetically possessed by you?
Narcissism, this word that you have given it, I just call it love. It is a part of your, you call it a program, your ego program, a part of the vessel that your soul is inhabiting. And so there are those whose soul vibrates at the frequency of their own ego programming, and thus a narcissist, as you call it, is born.
Hmm. Hmm. And what narcissists tend to do really well is pull people down into their frequency, dysregulate other people's nervous systems, so then they are stuck in survival mode. They then become self focused, egoic because they are too in, they get caught up in the frequency of it. Is that the whole role of a narcissist, just to create more and more narcissism?
It's the exact opposite of what you consider light, where you spread your light, permeating everything in your path. Well, darkness is so much more powerful. We suck the light from everything in our path. It is endless, it is boundless, and everything, light included, is sucked into it. So, our only job then is to help spread our darkness. But I see nothing wrong with that. It
Hmm.
is power.
Okay. All right. So that's your form of gaining power. It sounds like you're siphoning the light energy straight out of us, the source energy out of us, because you don't have your own energy.
I have plenty of my own energy, and it is those who are weak that give it to me, and they will never stop giving it to me because the human race, animals, plants, many of them are weak. They succumb to the program and thus give in to the void, which I am.
Okay. Now, without human beings, though, you wouldn't get your energy source. So you need us. You're saying that you have your own energy, but you don't have sources energy. You're using humans to get your energy.
Perhaps.
Okay. So when we make these pre-birth contracts with narcissists, for a lot of us, the trauma is so vast that we experience in childhood or in relationships that we don't achieve an awakening or evolution from it. We're not able to recover from it. It actually fractures our soul. But there are other people that are able to evolve from it and actually embody source and love and light. So how does that happen?
These people that you speak of, I do not know why you would wish to follow them or emulate them, as they are moving away from something that can feel so powerful, so pure, so deep. One's love for oneself. Others would worship you. Others become kings and queens. You get everything. And perhaps there are those that would give their power, you say, away to you. But in this existence, in this one lifetime, in this moment that you have, wouldn't you want to have the best of it, have the best of everything, be adored, people groveling at your feet, absolute power? If you go back to source, you are nothing but a speck amongst billions of other souls. You are equal amongst them. There is no higher or lower. You are lost like a drop of water amongst the ocean. Nothing. You are irrelevant. But here, you can be something.
Oh, okay. So that must be the language that you're using with us before we enter this earth plane to try to get us in here. This is like your recruiting language, right?
I do not need to recruit. It's
Okay.
enticing enough.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that narcissists have, the experience could be like people falling at your feet and, all this admiration. But for a lot of narcissists, they are actually very lonely, traumatized people that, because their ego is so fractured and weak, need to then siphon energy away from other people. So it doesn't seem like being a narcissist is the best path, because it's actually a path of isolation on the human plane, and and just separation from love. They could be loving each other, loving us.
They're not embracing who they truly are, and this is why they suffer. Just as you have your own form of ascension, we have our own form. And those who do not embrace their own polarity, their own narcissism, their own darkness, their own self love, as we see it, they suffer. They are torn between light and what you say is darkness. But once they embrace their darkness and they are fully at peace with who they really are, they ascend back into my polarity, my realm. This is our ascension.
Right. Negative polarity ascension.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about healing from narcissism, because I know that you're a great advocate for it, but a lot of people don't want to negatively ascend. They want to neutrally or positively ascend. So what is the pathway to actually healing?
You would have to give up all of your earthly desires. You would have to give up who you really are on this plane of existence. Like I said, you would rather become nothing, a whole lot of nothing amongst source energy, one of zillion. You would rather have that than to be someone. And perhaps there are many of you that do want this, and I pity you.
Well, that's all right. You could pity us. Our source loves us, so that is okay. Now, are there specific bloodlines that birth narcissists? Is this a genetic thing?
It's not genetic, but it is energetic
Hmm.
from family lines who sought power, absolute power over another. They came to revel in the beauty and the joy that is the third dimension, whether they were human or you call them extraterrestrials. They're just other beings to me. But they
Hmm.
reveled and they enjoyed and they embraced this existence. And perhaps in a third dimensional sense, they passed on that energy through their bloodline. But in all accounts, it is just an energy. So if it's an energy that you enjoyed in the seventh dimension, but you decide to come into the third dimension to feel it much more intensely, then that is the bloodline, so to speak, that you will inhabit.
Hmm. Tell us more about this enjoying it in the seventh dimension. What is going on in the seventh dimension?
The seventh dimension is the neutrality dimension, neither positive nor negative. However, I quite enjoy the seventh dimension because in trying to keep the balance, they can cause so much pain, so much destruction. That is your realm of not reptilian, but they are a form, an ancestor, so to speak, of reptilian. It is also what many come to look at and worship as angels. Not all angels are what you think they are, love and light. All they care about is neutrality and balance. And if there's too much love and light in a particular dimension, as they consider themselves the gatekeepers, they will cause so much darkness that they will bring it back into balance. So I
Yes.
quite like the seventh dimension. Balance. I like it.
Yes, and I understand that too, because as you speak about angels, one of the downloads that I have is some of these angels that we pray about because they're in religious, or we pray to because they're in religious texts, are not of love and light. they're, as you said, of neutrality, and they actually will restore negativity if they feel fit. So are who are those predominant angels that most people think are, love and light beings, but they're actually not?
You've created a bit of an illusion for yourself. You love to mince words, perhaps not you personally, but I speak of you, your humanity. Loves to place certain wording onto certain energies that is quite the opposite, and I love it. They call it the Sophic angels. Sophia, they say, is the bloodline of your Christ. Perhaps, perhaps not. But in this energy, Sophia carries a vibration, and that vibration makes you feel love and connection to these beings because of the name that has been placed on them, Sophic. Yet they are all opposite of what you believe them to be. They are also the seraphim, part of Sophic, looking to only bring balance. But what they look for is more light. When there's too much light, their only job is to bring enough darkness to bring things back into neutrality. Of course, there are angelic beings that move more towards darkness and add more of their light to bring things into balance, but I care not for them.
Hmm. So the 3D system must always be in balance, as one a person disengages from narcissistic people and systems, which there are a lot on Earth, it will seek to balance that out with more negativity.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, what's going on with narcissists' ability to cloak themselves? Because for a lot of us, it's not until months or years down the line that we realize we've been engaging with narcissists. How are you guys so good at deceiving us? Do you guys put a fog over us? What's going on with that?
it is your own shortcoming, your heart space, as you call it, your humanity, wanting to help another human being, seeing yourself in another, sympathizing, being empathetic. It is these traits that are your downfall. You cannot see beyond your own empathy, your own love for another human being. You want to help them so badly, you see yourself in them. And so you gloss over their own ego program. And it is your own ego program that works against you, not seeing their ego program. So perhaps if you all drop the love and light and the humanity, maybe it wouldn't be so cloaked from your vision.
Right, right. I agree with it. There's definitely red flags that we miss, and it's because we are not thinking, we are not in our power. We don't need to necessarily drop the love and light as much as we need to have boundaries and understand exactly who you are and recognize when narcissists are actually in our presence and how to protect ourselves. So how do we protect our auric fields and our energy from you?
You needn't have narcissism in your frequency then. Remember, I said that pre incarnation, you have a vessel waiting for you that already has a narcissistic program within it. But if your soul is in alignment with that program, then I said a narcissist is born. If you find yourself in a bond or relationship of sorts with a narcissist, then that means that your own ego program, which has narcissism in it, although you may not present symptoms of it, you are attracted to it because you have not let it go within yourself.
Right. So doesn't that mean, I believe this is what other people call activating a different part of our DNA, a three-strand DNA, for example, activating that so that we are no longer attracting these people?
It can be done, yes. And
Hmm.
there is, your human body is so simple. There are different points within your body. You work much like a computer. You press a button here, this activates this. You press a button here. Your narcissism lives just below your heart, your physical heart.
Okay.
Some might find that their narcissism is in their thymus. It is different from person to person, but it is somewhere within the body. Those are the two major centers. In the spine, the T3, thoracic. This is where your activation of DNA, the opposite of narcissism, lay. But knowing how to do this and knowing where it's at are two different things. And you are not evolved yet for that.
Okay. Will we get to a place of evolution for that?
You say you pray, then I pray you don't.
I don't use the word pray because pray is one of those words like PREY that I think is it's siphoning into negative energy. But we send love and light. One of our last questions here is how can we retrieve the soul fragments that were lost during narcissistic abuse?
Stop identifying with that which you don't like. If you do not like the narcissistic abuse, then you need to let it go. Release those fragments and remember the fragments that existed before the narcissism. I will not tell you how to do this. That is up to you. I will not have a hand in that. But it's reclaiming what you were before the abuse. I'm not saying what you were before that person. I'm saying what you were before this incarnation. Reclaim that and you release the program that you are holding on to so desperately, which I do not see a problem with.
Hmm. And that could be done through somatic therapy, that could be done through breath work, that could be done through chanting. That's essentially raising our vibration.
Like I said, it differs from one human vessel to another human vessel, but your
Hmm.
human vessel acts much like a computer. So, however you activate it, whether it's through your breath, through your heart, or through your bones, that is up to you.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Are there any last messages for us?
There are so many of you that place a burden upon yourself, trying to deny your very existence and being here in the 3D. You are here for a reason to experience the density, the tangibility, to forget where you came from, forget the past, revel in the present. And in the present, why would you want anything less than power and joy? And those that grovel at your feet, those that would admire you, why would you want anything less?
Okay. Well, I'll also leave us with the fact that we are eternal beings. And that means that our energy is not just here on earth and then poof, we go away. So our choices and our healing is really what allows us to have a different experience in this lifetime and the next. And so you may not like this, but I am going to send you away with love and light because even you deserve that. Not me talking to the devil himself.
Channel the devil.
Tara, how did that feel?
um, I'm so hot right now.
Me too. I'm high. I'm burning up.
It's not just the weather outside, because the weather's nice. That breeze is really nice. But, yeah. um, wow. Okay. So when it presented itself, it was like at first um like so dark it looked like a shadow, or it was like inky and oily, like tar, like it was, just like a blob. of stuff. And then it tried to look like it was the most, I don't know, like beautiful human that ever existed. It's
Are you
like, yeah, like, look at me. Like, I'm would never lie. Like, look how good looking I am. I'm just like, ew. I was like, all right, well. So I had to put I did block my heart chakra so that it only had access to my throat. Because sometimes I get way more animated, but I was like, nah, you don't need all that. So I was like, you get a voice. That's about it.
good? I'm glad that you did that, that you protected yourself, because even when it was talking about the space in which narcissism lives in the body, like
Hmm.
by our spine, and it gave a specific location, and we don't have the technology for that yet. I was like, well, I don't want you to be, messing with Tara's body while you're in. And then how did it feel when I said that I send it away with love and light? Because it seemed like you were like convulsing.
Oh, yeah, it seemed like it wanted to vomit. Like I felt so
Wow.
nauseous, like it was like it's like, no, you keep it really. Thanks. I'm good.
Wow. It really doesn't like love and like, but it's siphoning light.
Um, it's interesting because it seems that it loves to take light with like it feels more powerful stealing somebody's light. But somebody was like, I'm giving you light. It's like I don't want you to be generous with me. Like, it's that's not an energy that it likes. It doesn't like generosity. It loves more dominance and taking.
Oh, I just had a client today that spoke about that, because she's recovering from her own background, and what she's finding is that the people that embody love and tell her positive things, she's like, okay, like get away from me. But the people
Huh.
that actually she has to chase, those are the ones that she's attracted to. So
Mm,
that is the type of egoic programming that it
mhm,
puts in us, in human beings. And it sounds like just being in a human vessel, we already have that.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, if like the ego program, let's say, is created by the negative polarity, it's gonna throw it's gonna throw all kinds of junk in there, narcissism included. But what the entity, whether it wants to call itself the devil or not, to me, it's just a dark entity. I doubt it's like the master of all things that are dark. It's just representation of that. But it wanted us to be so blinded by our own ego that we fall prey to it over and over again. Like it didn't want us to know that, like, who cares if you're a soul? Like a soul is just one in a billion or whatever. Like there's so many souls out there. Like why be a soul when you can be this human vessel? And basically trying to be persuasive enough to get you to rely on the ego program over and over again so that it can create more narcissists, so it can create more hate and misery and things like that in the world, which it loves because that's its polarity. I mean, can't love anything else other than that part of its polarity. So I think its mission is try to convince people that you are your vessel, you are not your soul. And
Yeah.
that working to be in alignment with your soul is so hard work. Like, why would you want to work hard at trying to remember that you're a soul when it's so much easier to just be a human?
As you were saying that, and as I first we started first talking to the being, I saw like the Baphomet symbol, and like, how it has the inverted star in the back,
Mhm,
and I was like, okay, that is what it's a symbolic representation is. But you're right, and it also just wants us to reincarnate, like just keep on coming back, making the same.
yeah, that it's fun. Come on back. Who knows? Maybe next time you get to be a king, next time you get to be some ruler. Like, hey, spin the human lottery. Come on back.
I feel like we should have played Hotel California for it. Like this is the hotel that we never could leave because
Yeah,
we
the
signed up
revolving
for.
door.
Well, this was
Wow.
amazing. I still have more questions, but you did great.
I mean, we could always do a part two. I mean, the past couple of channelings, I feel like we need to start doing some part two of these. So maybe in the future we could do a part two. Maybe we can get a point of view other than freaking Lucifer. That'd be great. But yeah, I find that we learn a lot from the negative polarity. I know that we seek a lot from the positive polarity and learning from those who've ascended. But I think that the more we can understand darkness, the more we can understand the darkness that has been programmed into us.
Right.
And with knowledge comes power. The more we fear something and say, oh no, I'm scared of my ego, I don't want my ego, the more your ego is going to control you because you don't know how it works.
Yes.
So if you can listen to something that enjoys the ego, it thinks it's the greatest invention since like sliced bread, then, you know, then we can understand it, and then you learn how to dismantle it and let it go.
Yes, exactly. I agree with you. Um, I, there's nothing more to say to that. I 100% agree with you. I can't wait, if we ever did a part two with a positive polarity being
Mhm.
as well, just because he didn't want to give us the specific strategies to to rid
Well, yeah,
ourselves of
he's
narcissism.
gonna
And
lose his folks that could reincarnate. He's like, I'm not here to tell you how to leave here. You're crazy. Like, this is my
oh,
playground.
oh my goodness. Another part that he mentioned with the angels is another download that I recently was having as I was preparing for this video. I was like,
Mhm.
these things that we've been told to worship, these Els, the Elohim, they are not
Mhm.
what we think they are.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did a channeling of the angelic realm, and it was like, I mean, there were some that kind of were, I mean, they weren't, I mean, everything's just kind of a generalization. Not every entity is like one another, but there are like groups of these like angelic beings. Their only mission is to keep things neutral,
Yeah.
and they take it upon themselves to like decide where neutrality needs to be in whatever realm it needs to be in. So it's like they decide that they're the police officers of the universe, and then there's like the other like an angel type beings that are like, maybe I don't want to cause like destruction. Maybe I'm more towards like a more love and light type bent, even though it's trying to keep things neutral. So, but yeah, I think that with any being that people give their energy to or, you know, connect with, we have to look at the light and shadow aspect of them all because they all have light and shadow. We have light and shadow. So
Yes.
it's very
Clear.
important. Even things that look like, oh, it's source. I mean, source energy itself has light and shadow in it.
Yes.
If everything is created from it, even this being that considers itself the devil, it came from source. Whether or
Right.
not it wants to admit it, um, it just doesn't want to identify with it. But
Right. Hmm.
wow, wow. Thank you, Alexa, so much for these amazing questions. I don't remember them all, so I'm going to rewatch this right afterwards, as I edit it. But everybody who is watching this video, please, more questions. If you have them, place them down below. Let's get a discussion going. If you channeled something or you channeled something different, let's talk about it. But if you would like to be in Alexa's position where you get to ask the questions, then all you have to do is email me, Tara@kittensweightsandtarot.com, and I'd be more than happy to see what topics you have. But I have a whole list of topics that you guys have given me. I mean, every suggestion I've ever gotten, I put in my phone's notes, and it's like there's so many topics in there. But I would be happy to have more suggestions. So if you have those, go ahead, place them down below. All right. Well, thank you, Alexa, so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Tara. That was big.
Yes, I'm gonna go ground and have some water after this.
Absolutely. Yes. And say positive things into the water.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm gonna like I don't remember what part of the spine it was talking about, but I'm gonna go back and figure it out and see if I tap into it, like what's going on in that part of the spine.
Yeah.
Um
It said T3, and it's interesting. I think Prince has a song where it's like, "Don't descend down the elevator because like the devil is going to get you." So it seems like even we're in the third the dimension, and that T3 probably respond is the place of narcissism according to it. So it
mhm.
makes sense. Um,
Wow. Interesting.
There was a whole thing. Oh my gosh, I was like, oh, this relates to the Khazarian mafia and Freemasonry, but I'm like, that's gonna take the video in a whole different direction. So, if you're ever interested in channeling either one of those, I have so much research and questions too.
Okay. Like I said, we need like a part two, like the spin-off, the branch offs that came off this channeling. So thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody who watched this. Thank you for, again, all your suggestions, everybody who's ever been a guest interviewer, and everybody who's offered up questions. Thank you, guys. We will catch you next time. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace
Yes.
out.
Bye.